just thought I'd take a leaf out of Liz's book and pop in and introduce myself. I'm Frank Hayes, and just wanted to say a few words, just stick this on the end of the tutorials for week 3. What a brilliant project. Fantastic to be involved, and really pleased to be involved. The work so far has been great, and it's so good to see everybody's work coming up in the news feed, and it's a really positive group as well, which is brilliant. Lots of mutual support on there, which is fantastic. The tutorials are a great resource to use, and I think especially after watching all Liz's last night, there's something that should be used over and over again, really. Something that you should maybe go back to, you know, in weeks to come. You can always go back to the beginnings. I think there's a lot of information that's been packed into the videos, so some of it might kind of get a little bit lost to start with because you're getting flooded with so much information, but definitely worth revisiting them over and over again, especially if you've done a task and you've enjoyed it, and then, you know, go back and it'll kind of read differently once you've already tried that task. And yeah, I just wanted to say, really, it shouldn't be underestimated how difficult it can be being creative, mentally especially. Lots of barriers and hang-ups, especially if you've not been creative for a long time. But this is a really good opportunity to get lots of valuable support, really, and advice. There's a lot of opportunities for skill swapping and picking people's brains, and I know once Lucy starts her tutorials as well, you'll kind of really start to build up a really good skill set and a knowledge of what we're trying to get over to you. So a little thing that I've missed out of the videos so far is artists to look at, and especially for drawing, I would say try any of the old masters. So you've got the likes of Constable, Turner, Van Gogh, all sketched and did preliminary sketches for paintings, and, you know, kind of did all the problem solving through drawing. So I'd highly recommend those. I mean, if you want to go back, right back, you've got Leonardo da Vinci and people like him, Michelangelo, who also, drawing was a big part of, you know, their creative process. So they're definitely worth looking at, and probably one of my favourites more recently would be Henry Moore, who was big on drawing, and some of my favourite pieces of his were when he went into the tube in the Second World War and drew people while they were hiding from the bombing. So they're really effective, amazing drawings, which are definitely worth checking out. There's a YouTube document, well, it wasn't documentary on YouTube, it was a BBC documentary originally by a guy called Andrew Graham Dixon, the art critic, and it is called The Secret of Drawing, in 4 parts. I would highly recommend it. It is fantastic, and it just shows how important drawing is, you know, and has been in society. Highly recommend that. All 4 parts are on YouTube. It's called The Secret of Drawing with Andrew Graham Dixon. And lastly, I think sometimes that when I've been involved in projects like this before, and there are a set amount of things to do and set things to kind of get through, they start to get to be seen as like almost like their jobs or tasks, and that's not the aim. I think the aim is that we are going to try and enable you to have, you know, that skill set so that you can have enjoyable moments with creativity. It's not about ticking off, you know, well, I've done that one and I've done that one. It's, you know, it's about taking that, you know, that tutorial and kind of going with it and being proactive with it and having fun with it, rather than seeing it as something that you've got to get ticked off before 5 o'clock. So I would definitely you know, get your mindset into the place that these are enjoyable things to do. They might be frustrating sometimes, but they are enjoyable. So it's worth making time, and I know sometimes that can be difficult, but definitely worth making time to be creative, and it can only benefit you, really. You know, getting into that creative flow is so good for your mental well-being, even if it's just for 30 minutes. It's so valuable. And the self-critical bit, yeah, it's difficult, but what I would try and advise is that, you know, you would never say something about somebody else's work that you would say about your own. So maybe the way to look at your own work is, you know, almost like it's somebody else's. Be a bit more reflective and be a bit more positive about what you've achieved. You know, because if you're starting from scratch, really, it's difficult, and that shouldn't be underestimated. But it's a really lovely, positive group, and it's a great thing that we're doing. So, yeah, that's the end of my waffle. But I packed quite a bit in there, so fortunately you can fast forward the boring bits and get to the bits that you want to hear again. But thanks very much, and thanks for everything that you've been doing so far. It's been fantastic. Take care, guys.